Okay. So for this iteration of my project, I decided to go a different direction than I did in my earlier iteration. So I created a HTML in my last iteration that um, resulted in a website that displayed my questionnaire. However, I realized that that's not what the technical aspect is trying to accomplish. I'm trying to make a questionnaire that is adaptable to many different types of businesses. Here's an example of a common risk assessment here. As you can see, there's not a lot of structure to it, and the risk rating is dependent on a low, medium to high scale, which I do not think is strong enough considering the amount of cyber threats that are being posed right now. So, what I decided to do was design my own survey, not code it, just so that the technical emphasis is on the format of the questionnaire and the adaptability rather than the actual coded format, which is more about like the color and the sizing and the margins. So I decided to take that aspect of it out and focus more on the questions and how I wanted them to look and flow. And so for this iteration, I decided to use SurveyMonkey, which is a survey designing software that they offer for free and also for a paid price. But for this, in all honesty, was not successful to what I wanted to accomplish. However, it did give me a lot of good information about what to do moving forward. So in this iteration, I just used 5 common questions that can be found in 5 different departments of a risk questionnaire, like information security, security, IT, identity and access management. So I decided to kind of just put the base levels of those questions on there in a real questionnaire. Each of those departments would have about 10 to 12 questions below their department. However, I just wanted to see how this questionnaire would look as it was being built. And what I found that on this opening question here, it asks, is this a new vendor or service? And the answer to this question decides what the rest of the questions will be. And that's what I want my project to look like. So when you answer this question, if it's not a new vendor, then in a real world sense, all of these questions would not necessarily matter. Because if it is an existing vendor and you are in the business has a relationship with that vendor, then all of these questions have already been answered before. And the bulk of the questions should be aimed around what the new product or the new service that the vendor is offering um, is touching security wise. So this questionnaire does not do that at this point, and now I know that I will not be using this software going forward, and I also know how to shape my questionnaire going forward. Um, but what I did find successful with this format here is the use of different types of answering um, elements here. So there's a multiple choice, a checkbox, and a text box. That's what I want my final project to have as well, because some of these questions do require an actual written response and not a yes or no. Um, However, with this question here, is the vendor employees on site or off site? There's no need to have to write that answer out. So I like that there's the ability to select different options here. And that's something that I'm going to be taking going forward. So, in conclusion, with this iteration, it wasn't successful in terms of actually continuing to develop the questionnaire. However, now I do know that I will not be using this software, and I do know how I want to structure my questionnaire going forward. So I will have to look for an alternative that has that adaptability aspect to it. But now I'm glad that I know that that's what I'm looking for. Thank you.